Greetings, Packer fans, wherever you may be. It's a time for another edition of the Pack Attack Cast. Hope you had a great 4th of July. We're recording this right after 4th of July, which means we are 17 days away from training camp, and we're very excited to be there for you reporting from training camp. We'll be there for the first 3 practices of training camp and the owners' meeting. Very excited to be there. It's probably been about a decade since I've been to Green Bay, but we're for training camp, that is. But very excited to be there for that first week of training camp. So we'll be there reporting. So give us a like and subscribe if you want to get your latest Packer news as it drops. We will be there reporting in person for training camp. Also, give us a like and follow on Blue Sky, Pack Attack Cast. Very simple, same as the name of this show on Blue Sky, where we talk about everything in the NFL. Today, we're going to turn things to a positive. Last video, we talked about the top 5 things that could happen that would keep the Packers from the Super Bowl. Today, we're going to talk about the top 5 things that can happen and get the Packers to the Super Bowl, because I think this is a Super Bowl ready team. I think in any year, there's probably 8 to sometimes 10 teams that have the potential to make it to the Super Bowl. The Packers, surprisingly, were on the cusp in 2023. They had the team in 2024, and we talked about some of the things that caused them not to get there last year in the last video. But in 2025, the Green Bay Packers are absolutely one of the top 5 or 6 teams to make it to the NFL. Now, if you look at power rankings right now, they might not be there. Why? Because of what I like to refer to as recency bias. People are looking at what happened last year, and they tend to assume it's in our brains. We have this recency bias where we take a look at what happened in the past recently, and we say, well, that's most likely to happen again. But there's lots of things, and we're going to talk about some of them right now, that are changing the picture in the NFL. And the Packers are much closer to a Super Bowl than I think a lot of people realize. And if you dig deep into this team, and if you watched the past videos we've had all summer, we are digging deep into the Green Bay Packers. The DNA is there. The players are there. The coaches are there. And even the schedule, actually, while everybody looks at the Green Bay Packers schedule and they say, ooh, that's a tough schedule, I don't know if they could do it. Look at the schedule for the Lions. Look at the schedule for the Eagles. Look at the schedule for the Commanders. Look at the schedule for the Bucks. In many cases, all of those schedules are actually worse because the Packers finished 3rd in their division last year. So if you look at the schedule for the Green Bay Packers and say, oh, that looks like a tough schedule, I can tell you with certainty that many of the top teams in the NFC last year have harder schedules than the Packers do. And I would also argue some of those teams lost so much talent that they don't have the roster that the Green Bay Packers do. So that's enough of a preamble. Let's talk about the top 5 things that can happen and get the Packers to the Super Bowl this year. Number 5 on my list. Now, this could be arguably number 1. We're going to have to see what happens. Number 5 is Jordan Love reaches his full potential in 2025. As we discussed in our last video, this team needs a spark on offense that makes them special. We had a great running game last year. We had a great defense last year. And we even had a great offense by DBOA, top 4. But what we missed were those big spark plays. When this team needed a big play, they fell short. And I think a lot of that had to do with the health of Jordan Love last year. The Packers need to take their game to the next level, and the best path to get to the next level is Jordan Love getting back to the form that he had in 2023 when he was the hottest quarterback in the league, while at the same time using his experience to make the most of his skill in 2025. So if we could take the upside and excitement of Jordan Love in 2023 and combine him with another 2 years of experience and a healthy season, I think Jordan Love can be next level. And if Jordan gets to the next level, the Green Bay Packers will take that leap up to the next level and much closer to the Super Bowl. Jordan Love was a top 5 quarterback in 2023, but he was barely a top 20 quarterback in 2024. If they can combine a top 10 Love performance with the top 4 run offense in 2024 and the defense that they had in 2024, and I think the defense is going to be better than last year. You've heard me say that in previous videos. I think this team could be very special. But Jordan Love is a key component. Top 20 does not get the Packers to the Super Bowl. A top 10 or a top 5 performance from Jordan Love will give us the extra spark to get us to the Super Bowl in 2025. And I feel like that is on the cusp. It is right there for the taking for Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Once again, Jordan Love got married just last week. He needs to combine that year of marriage with winning a Super Bowl. Wouldn't that not be an awesome year for Jordan Love? Jordan, it is here for the taking, my friend. Take it. Number 4, the NFC elite need to fall back to the pack. And yes, I intend that pun. The elite of the NFC need to fall back to the pack in the NFC. The Packers need to ascend, and we need the elite teams from 2024 to fall down in the rankings. There are plenty of signs that this is already happening if you look at the rest of the NFL. The Eagles lost a large amount of talent since winning the Super Bowl. Happens to every Super Bowl winner. They have a talent drain. That has happened to the Eagles. The Lions have a new coaching staff. They need to rebuild their offensive line. And I think the Detroit Lions possibly have the hardest schedule in the NFL. It's between the Eagles and the Lions as far as hardest schedule. If you look at their schedules, they are brutal, especially the Lions for their first 9 games. Every week, except for the week that they play the Browns, they are playing a playoff team. That is so hard for a team that had a bad year. They lost talent on their offensive line. They have a new coaching staff. And oh, by the way, you have to play a playoff team from 2024 every week except for the one in the first 9. That is why, and we've talked about this in previous videos, I think the Packers, if they can win early in this season, can take the NFC North away from the Lions early. The Bucs are a solid team all the way around, but are they an elite team? I have some questions about that. The Commanders last year caught lightning in the bottle in 2024. Will they have the same thing happen, or will they have a Jaden Daniels sophomore slump? Certainly possible. They also lost some talent. Now they added some talent at a really high cost. I don't really love some of the moves the Commanders made, but can they be the same player they were last year? I have my doubts. The Minnesota Vikings have a great roster. I will never take away the roster from the Vikings. And they have a great coaching staff. Not going to take that away. But they have an unproven player at the most important position in the game, J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy was a solid quarterback, in a run-first offense in college. He's replacing a veteran quarterback who played the best season of his career. Can the Vikings be at that same level as they were last year? I don't think so. So we see the rest of the NFC falling down. We see everything in the Packers ascending. So many things went wrong last year for the Packers that if just a few of them go right, they could be right there in the mix for the NFC for the Super Bowl. It is absolutely something that can happen. The NFC is vulnerable if the Packers seize the opportunity and make it happen. Number 3, Matt LaFleur gets salty and proves he's an elite coach / play caller. Recently in the PFF rankings, Matt LaFleur was not considered a top 10 coach. This is ridiculous. They were in multiple games that were won last year by Matt LaFleur creating whole offenses out of thin air and with backups. At the same time, there were moments in games where LaFleur and the coaching staff made mistakes that cost games clear as day. I go back to both games against the Bears. They won one because of a miracle, but they lost one because of bad coaching decisions. What we need to see from Matt LaFleur and the coaching staff is a complete season where Matt LaFleur and the rest of the coaches show they belong among the elite play callers and coaches in the NFL. The skill is on this roster. The skill is with Matt LaFleur at play calling. Not to mention, he's the most handsome guy in the NFL, as my wife likes to always say. The ability to lead is there. If you look at some of Matt LaFleur's post-game comments to the team, he is a great leader of men. We just need Matt LaFleur to put this together and have one complete season. So I hope Matt LaFleur takes that PFF rankings for coaches, puts it on his bulletin board, and he says, you know what? This year, I'm going to show the NFL that I am an elite coach, because he is an elite coach. There's no question about that. Every year he's been the coach of the Green Bay Packers, they've had a top 10 offense. And if he could just put the other parts of the game together, and one of the biggest criticisms I have for the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur is they need to find moments to go on 4th down. You look at some of the elite teams last year in the NFL, they went on 4th down all the time. The Lions went on 4th down all the time. The Eagles made a living going on 4th down with the tush push all the time. The Green Bay Packers need to be more aggressive in their play calling, and Matt LaFleur can do it. Number 2 on my list of things that can happen and get the Green Bay Packers to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about it right now. The Green Bay Packers become a top 5 defense and a top 5 pass rushing squad. The Packers were top 10 on defense last year and top 8 in pass rushing, but they were very inconsistent. The team puts it together this year. They are a top 5 defense and they're a top 5 pass rushing squad that will get them to the Super Bowl. We've heard the saying that defense wins championships, but in the age of modern offenses, it's the defense that can stop big plays of the other team that wins championships. These efforts are usually defined by key moments on defense, and most of these moments are directly or indirectly due to the pass rush. That throwaway pass that kills a drive, or that interception at the end of the game, or a sack in the 4th down, those are all tied to pass rush. And that's one of the things the Packers were consistently missing in 2024. Those key game-killing drives, plays on defense. That's what the Green Bay Packers need in 2025. The Packers have the tools with all the first-round draft picks in the defensive line to make this happen. They have an elite defensive coordinator to create schemes for success. This team needs to put it all together, become a top 5 defense, and be the team that wins those key moments in games. Too many times for the Green Bay Packers in 2024, they were stopped on those key moments on offense. They need to take away those key moments from their opponents in 2025 with a quality pass rush. The skill is there. The players are there. The defensive coordinator is there. They need to put those things all together and become a top 10 defense in 2025 to reach the Super Bowl. My number one reason that the Green Bay Packers can get to the Super Bowl this year, the Packers need to win the NFC North. This is critical. This item is a synthesis of all the items that I talked about in 5 through 2. For the Packers to get to the big game, they need to win the NFC North. Not only does it let them exercise the demons of the past few years, that is the Lions, but it will give them the experience, confidence, and drive to win a Super Bowl. Matt LaFleur has said this spring that the team can work on team building in practice. I would argue this team will be built best by winning the NFC North in 2025. They have to get at least a 3-3 record in the division to win the division. 4-2 would even be better if they could win this division. But the Packers were 1-5 in the division last year. That cannot happen if they want to get to the Super Bowl. The Packers need to win the NFC North. Everything is there for them, and we talked about that in items 5 through 4. It all leads to item 1. The Packers need to win the NFC North. That is the top 5 reasons I have that the Packers can get to the Super Bowl in 2025. If the Packers take all 5 of those things and they make them happen, and I've talked about all the things that are in their favor to make those things happen. If they make those 5 things happen, they should be in the mix to get to the Super Bowl in 2025. So that's our edition of the Pack Attack Cast for today. Once again, give us a like and subscribe. I'm going to be back in a couple days with another video. As we ramp up for training camp, we're going to have more and more videos before training camp to get you ready for training camp. You're going to have all the information you're going to need. You're going to have the training camp battles. You're going to have the ways the Packers need to improve. The way the Packers need to grow. We're going to talk about all of that before training camp, so give us a like and subscribe. And as always, go Pack, go.